magical treats taste great, but justice and equality taste better. To combat hate, all ad revenue from my HB Kitchen will be donated to trans and LGBTQ charities. Thank you for supporting the kitchen and helping make the world a better place. Mischief managed.
Hello witches, wizards, and those who have just escaped from Azkaban. Welcome back to my Harry Potter kitchen. This is the YouTube series where we're baking our way through the Harry Potter books, making magical recipes every time we find an item of food and drink inside. If you missed last week's recipe where we served up 4 Hogwarts house inspired sugar quills, then check out the link down below in the description to catch up. And if it's your first time in the kitchen and you want to see some more Harry Potter recipes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Magic Monday when there's a brand new recipe. We've got more Honeydukes treats on the way, so let's make some magic. No surprises, we're heading back to chapter 5 of the Prisoner of Azkaban, the Dementor, for our next recipe, as Ron is still telling us all about his favourite things at Honeydukes, and that's where we see massive sherbet balls that make you levitate a few inches off the ground. Sounds like we're in for a sweet trip. This week's recipe is for sherbet balls that have a levitating effect when you eat them, and that description matches Fizzing Whizzbees, which we hear about later on in the books. So that is going to be our inspiration for this week's recipe. I'm going to serve them up as a sharp and sour lemon flavoured candy ball, which we're going to coat in sherbet and popping candy for a truly magical effect. These are actually really easy to make. You can create them as small individual sweets, but because these are supposed to be giant sherbet balls, I'm going to make them a little larger than life so they'll resemble more of a gobstopper. It also uses a similar base that we use for the sugar quills and the pepper imps, with a few variations to give it that sharp sherbety effect. So that's what we're going to create first. To create our easy sherbet balls or Fizzing Whizzbees, I'm going to start off by making my sugar syrup for the base. Place a pan onto a high heat and then add in your sugar, water and liquid glucose. Remember, pop that liquid glucose into the microwave and it will make it much easier to measure out and pour. Swirl around to prevent sugar crystals from forming, add in your sugar thermometer and then bring that up to the boil until it reaches 310 Fahrenheit. Keep an eye on it to make sure that one corner doesn't start going too dark before another. You want to make sure it's a nice and even heat until it reaches temperature. At this point you can remove the thermometer from the sugar, take it off the heat and place to one side. Okay, so our base is ready and now we can move on to flavouring it. And as I mentioned at the start, we're going to go for a sour and zesty lemon sherbet ball. So I'm going to use some lemon flavour extract in the recipe and also some citric acid. Now don't panic, even though acid is in the name, it's perfectly safe to eat and is very common in lots of those sour sweets that you might have tried already. It gives it that sort of fizzy sherbety effect and also adds an extra layer of acidity that you can't quite get unless you use a lot of lemons, which we don't want to do as that will really affect our sugary base. So I'm going to add them in, working very quickly, and then it's time to pop them into the molds. Working as quickly as you can, I'm going to transfer the sugar syrup into a jug, so that's going to make it nice and easy to pour out later. We're going to flavour these sherbet balls with citric acid for that sherbet effect, as well as some lemon extract for flavouring, and a little bit of yellow food colouring gel. Try to use a small amount at a time, stir through until you get your desired colour, as it's quite difficult to go back if you've added too much. Once you're happy with the mixture, it's time to prepare your sphere molds. So I've placed the 2 parts together, which are going to give us a complete circle. Of course, if you don't have one of these, you can just use any other mold that you prefer. If your sherbet ball mixture has firmed up too much, pop it into the microwave for a few seconds to thin down. Working nice and slowly, you want to pour this in a thin strand to make sure that it doesn't get too messy. My hands were a little shaky as I poured it in, so I did get some over the sides, but don't worry, it's pretty easy to clean up after it's set. Keep on going until all of your spheres are filled right up to the top. As these sweets are quite dense, they're going to take a fair while to set. So I'm going to leave those at room temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I'm going to pop them into the fridge for around 2 hours. It's really important to make sure that they're completely set before you remove them. You only get one chance, otherwise if they're not set, you'll lose that spherical shape. Now I know that not everyone will have these sphere molds, but it is definitely worth the investment as it will give you a really cool finish to your sherbet balls. If you don't want to splash out and get them though, then you can find any standard silicone mold to bring your Fizzing Whizzbees to life. If you're creating them in a sphere, it will take a couple of hours for them to set all the way through, but if you've got yourself a flat mold, then you should be good with about half an hour. Once those are ready, we're then going to create a lovely coating to give it that final kick of flavour and that sherbety effect. So I'm going to show you how to create that with some sugar, citric acid, and we'll also add in some popping candy, so it will truly make you feel the magic. Making the coating for the outside of these Fizzing Whizzbees is super easy. I'm going to pour my sugar into a bowl, add in citric acid for an extra sherbety effect, and then just to go all out, I'm also adding in some popping candy too. Stir that through until nice and evenly combined, and then pop to one side. Once the sherbet balls are nice and set, I'm then going to remove those from the molds. You might notice that some of the sugar has oozed out while it was setting. Carefully take a sharp knife and cut around the edge to remove it. It should snap off quite easily. Once you're happy with the shapes, pop your spheres into a bowl ready to coat. Just to make sure our coating sticks, I'm going to gently spray or brush over some water and then pour my sugar coating on top. Give those a good toss to make sure all the sides are evenly covered, and then you're good to go. And with that, our Honeydukes sherbet balls, or Fizzing Whizzbees, are ready for takeoff. So that is another Honeydukes recipe in the bag. These Fizzing Whizzbees are so easy to make, they taste incredible and they look pretty cool as well. So let me know down below in the comments if you're looking forward to giving them a go. That's all for this week's Harry Potter recipe, but if you want to see more from my Harry Potter kitchen, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click on the notification bell, and you'll get an alert every Magic Monday when there's a brand new recipe for you to enjoy. I'm off to practice levitating, so I'll see you next week.